Welcome to President's Day, my fellow troublemakers. We're locked, we're loaded. We got some out of office messages, but that doesn't matter because we have a lot of important things to talk about, starting with one that we're just going to wait till the intro stops.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they see me.
Okay, this weekend was like this menagerie of like people in the community doing automotive things.
Yes.
Right. So it's like you were doing a service thing. Michael Cirillo was doing like a sales thing. And let's talk about that for a second. So you had a bit of a service experience. Well, first of all, welcome to President's Day.
Welcome to President's Day, the day where all the vendors send out of office emails and all the dealers are still working.
You know what? We should have set our email list up to finally sort everybody once and for all. Like,
but by who responded with an autoresponder? You get
out of office
vendor.
message automatically goes to vendor, right? Because dealers are working today. Oh, not throwing some hate, but it's just funny and everybody knows what's up. So but like, look, dealers don't want to talk business today. They're busy selling cars. It's almost like a Saturday. So, all right. So you had to go to service and you started doing a little micro vlog on your Instagram. Tell us what's up.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of it was interesting. I had this, like, I know what to expect, but I don't know what to expect anxiety. Right. And so I had to schedule online. For those that know the automotive industry, this dealership used Xtime for their online portal, which interestingly enough, like I've used the Xtime portal a lot, but this one kind of tripped me up because the things weren't like quite as I expected, especially from just, interacting with what do I need to get done today? Right. We had a nail in our tire. Well, every time I searched tire, the only thing that came up was replace all 4 tires or rotate and balance. Right. So I couldn't actually schedule anything that was just like, I don't know. Like I searched things like in the scheduler, like, I don't know, tell me more, everything that I know that most dealers that set up Xtime. And then, so being a customer, it was like, this is not what I want. I don't want $800 in new tires. I want to know, can you fix my flat tire? Right. So, but I got through the scheduler and things went well, right? A couple little automations hit. I get there and, here's what I fear, right? A lot of times people that are on the vendor side and are in automotive kind of like throw shade at dealers and service departments, sales departments. And so that's not my intention here. My intention is to show like the opportunity in our industry. I get to the dealership. I'm literally the only one in the service lane at like 12:31 on a Saturday. There are 2 advisors sitting at their computers. Neither of them looks up, continue to work on their computer. Ooh. There's what looks like some sort of lot porter or delivery driver in the lane that doesn't look up, stays seated. I have to walk into the door, to which neither the advisors say hi, but the lot porter says, "What's up?" Right. And so then what happens is you've got, me initiating everything from that point. And the first question is, what can I do for you today? I had an appointment on the schedule with the car. Like I try to detail everything, right? Like red Honda Odyssey, right? I detailed everything so that if they were using the system properly, using the iPad, they could come out and say, right, "Hey, Kyle, looks like you're looking to get your tire, looked at today," which would have been a really easy thing, especially because when I drove in the service lane, the spare tire was on the side of the lane. Like it was
obvious. We got an issue
opportunity, right? And so that kind of set the tone for me. And so I feared the worst, but was hopeful because the guy was actually really nice that I interacted with. I guess their Xtime system was having some issues with the DMS. So he was, a little bit like, we're having issues. I got to go write this thing down. And so he goes out and writes stuff down instead of using an iPad. So I get that. Like that can be a stressful thing from an employee perspective, especially on a Saturday. But it impacted the customer service. But the worst part of the whole experience by far, like I could have dealt with all that, was I dropped it off and said, hey, text would be best. Just update me on what's going on. We're going to go grab lunch and I may come back and finish this. Well, it was an hour and 20 minutes before I finally decided to shoot a text.
Yeah.
10 minutes later.
There's no way it's not done yet. There's no way.
And all it is was probably a nail in the tire, right?
And they're like, oh yeah, it's done.
No. 10 minutes later with no answer, I call. The other advisor picks up and says, oh, I can't see his system, right? I've got to get him to call you back. We wait for 10 minutes sitting where we were eating lunch, hoping that we wouldn't have to go all the way home. And by that point, I'm like, oh, we're just going to go back to the dealership. We get back to the dealership and the other advisor says, oh, guy is going to check on your car right now, right? So this is now 25 minutes past the first text that I sent, right? So, and I get this may not be every interaction with this person. And here's the thing. The guy called me by name every time he spoke with me. He was very cordial and very nice, like not a bad person, like not having an overall grumpy day. But for 2 hours to go by from when I dropped the car off to the communication that I got and I had to manage the follow-up, that's not like, I'm going to go back.
Because, sum it up. Right. Sum it up. What should the industry take away from this?
The industry should take away that communication is so important, especially with your service customers and not just service customers, but sales customers. People are waiting on us to get back to them. And so look, if we think it's low communication, it's extremely low. So you have to go double high to get there.
I think everything you explained right there is that the communication bar is actually not that high. No, like you're just asking people to step over it, right? Like this isn't like jump 6 feet. You're like, hey, just do what you said. Look up, right? Look up, greet somebody, right? Use a little bit of observation, own the problem, right? You call this not yours, just own the problem. Hey, Joe, can you check on the red Odyssey? Or I'm sure the service department, either way. Right. Clear and present example that we have a lot of work to do as an industry, and it doesn't actually take a lot of complicated things to deliver great service. Any great service you have, any great place you go, a lot of the times it's the attention to the little details and the simple things that make the experience so much better. So you can read more about that on Kyle's. Did you post that on LinkedIn?
It was on Instagram story, so it's probably gone, but I might write something about it.
I think you should.
Maybe we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it all together.
That's a great way. A couple takeaways. Speaking of takeaways,
segue
time. That was 2 for 1 right there. Friday, we had our collab room, All Things Used Cars, David Long's room, and he had some great insights launching throughout that entire session, so much so that we wrote an article to summarize them so that you can see them. The link is in the show notes. But we're talking about the dropping prices in the used car market, what tax season implications are on it versus what it's been in the past. We're talking about inflation, how that's impacting consumer buying ability, right? With the 61% or as a high percentage of people are looking at a $400 a month payment when less than 25% of the inventory actually reflects that price point.
Isn't that crazy?
It is.
So 25% of the current used car inventory in the market actually meets the majority of the market where it's at. That's a dangerous situation, right? And so like just thinking about how does that marketing, what do we start extending terms, right? What's really the impact of having a market that's higher than the consumer, capacity to purchase, right? It's going to be an interesting movement, especially when like tax time is driven at that lower cost vehicle a lot.
And another thing, we talked about this a number of weeks ago, is that tax season is already going to be weird because of delays.
Right.
And so the expectation from, Cox's chief economist, Jonathan Smoke, was like, it's going to be drawn out more than ever, right? Because it's not going to be like everyone hits, all the payments hit, and everyone goes shopping. It's going to be more of a trickle effect. So it's going to be just a strange year, but anything like it's a dangerous thing, mostly because supply and demand, right? Demand's going to be for the lower cost vehicles. They're not going to be buying the higher cost vehicles. No demand there, meaning used car prices are going to go down, meaning you could end up holding inventory that you don't want to be holding, right? So it's really 3D chess right now. Check out the article at ASOTU.com. If you're not signed up for the email, sign up for the email at ASOTU.com. And there's also a link in the show notes in the live stream so you can get right to that article and even listen to the room replay if you want to listen to the room again on Clubhouse, which is a great thing to do. A couple other little stories, not little stories. One's revolutionizing car insurance. Like, do you think that's a big industry?
Just it blows my mind. And here's this is what's crazy is that GM hasn't done anything. So essentially the point of the story is GM is going to use their OnStar technology to understand driving habits to drive insurance offers, right? And give that data the ability to be used. But it's kind of crazy to me that no manufacturers have utilized their onboard data for, secondary market transactions like on insurance or, any other data. It's ripe for the picking. And knowing that like the mindset has shifted to subscription based, right? Anytime you shift your mindset to a subscription based model, you start executing your capacity for like monetization through other means, right? And I think this is that big first step that GM is taking.
And so they piloted this program in Arizona. It's now available in 47 states. The estimated revenue $6 billion by 2030. Look, one of the things they mentioned in the article is the fact that typically speaking, you could have a janitor and an executive in an organization, and they both drive the same car, the same amount of miles, same age, and one's going to pay more than the other one. And they were saying a lot of that has to do with credit score. It has to do with, job title and status, right? And, they say, so it could be like, there could be some inequity there. I look at that and I'm like, well, look, all that stuff is based on actuary tables, right? It's not a values-based judgment. It's a data-based judgment. But at the same point, and in the assumptions, it's highly likely that the janitor is driving better than the executive. Personally speaking, I'm not excited about when it was like braking and acceleration, right? Those are mine too, right? I don't have any tickets. I don't have all that. But braking and acceleration.
My wife and I had I can't remember. It was an insurance company that we had like 4 or 5 years back. And they gave you the access to like put something on your OBD2 scanner, right? Yep. And you're over 90 days, they would track your vehicle. And then you would either stay at the same rate or you could have a rate reduction for the remainder of your term, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, don't put that thing in my car. Put it in my wife's.
right. Do the average. That's interesting. Exactly. Comment from Reno. Some OnStar services won't work now that 3G tech is discontinued. Yeah, I did see an article about that.
AT&T rolling back this week.
3G's out. So yeah, I mean the older vehicles, the newer ones will be fine, right? Because they're updated with 4G, maybe 5G coming soon. But yeah, interesting. This is a major shakeup coming in insurance and a major opportunity for people with the data. Auto companies are going to be people with the data, right? It now exists everywhere. It used to be really unique. Think about it. OnStar had like connected car technology way long ago.
So early.
It was like magic. I remember the commercial. Somebody like, oh, my husband's having a heart attack or something, right? Like, OnStar, GM will save us. Another culture thing I think is worth bringing up. So if you follow Kanye West at all, the hip hop artist, he is just known for doing things that are outrageous, but also known for doing things that are like kind of rage against the machine and fighting against the man. Specifically speaking, how the music industry takes so much of the profits from the music. On average, 12% of sales go to the artist. Everything else goes to the label. What happens now? You have like Spotify and Apple Music. They've made access to music so cheap, right? Because like it's free. Right. They sell some ads or it's a very low subscription, meaning that the artist has to like do a lot of touring or they have to sell a lot of merch in order to make their money when they used to make it from the actual music. So Kanye's like, I'm out. I'm releasing my next album. Not going to be on Apple, not going to be on Spotify, not going to be on any of the streaming services. Get this. You can get it only through his hardware device.
Have you seen it?
I have. It's pretty cool. And so as a musician, it's called the Stem Player. And he released his first Donda album in it. And so basically stem tracks are like the individual tracks of a song. So you listen to it and it's all together and that's the track. But say you just wanted the keyboard or one of the drum loops or anything like that. It can break it all apart. So then you can rearrange those and create your own, use them in different songs. So it's kind of is like this open market for his music, right? So I think it's a really brilliant brand play, but he doesn't need them to do it. So far, they sold several $1 million worth of these stem players. It's $200. It's this little device. Look, it's clunky, right? Because I just want to open Spotify and stream my music, right? I'm not going to carry this thing around with me. But I think it's important to look at this because we live in a day and age when you can break things that have been the norm for so long. And guess what? People are ready to listen. They're ready to try it. They're ready to do different things. And like, will that succeed? Will STEM become the new standard? Probably not, right? But it makes everybody else move, right? We're seeing this in auto, right? Somebody comes out with a new thing, and what's it do? It makes everybody else move.
15 articles over 2 weeks saying the same thing, right? That everybody's about it's like everybody's about to have a commercial with a QR code on it, right? But the first one that breaks it is the one that wins
disproportionately, right? And they can kind of say like, made you move.
Right.
So whatever you're doing today, we hope that you break things. That's what we're trying to do at ASOTU, right? We're trying to get it out there so everybody else can start shifting, moving, maneuvering, so you can do better, you can be better, and you can be a little more presidential this President's Day.
Good